Hello, everyone. We are here in a new episode of Coronado Leadership, and I am very happy because we have a very special guest today. He is my friend, Dr. Manuel Guillot. Hi, Manuel. How are you?
Hi, Marcos. How are you? Good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you. I'm so happy, so excited to record this important video podcast with you.
Yes.
Today we have a great topic, and it is about educate to lead, empowering Latinos for global impact. So this is a great important topic that really resonates with me. And I just want to introduce you a little bit about who is Manuel Guillot. Manuel Guillot is an advocate for Latino community, and he has a strong sense of purpose to empowering the Latino community through leadership and with a global mindset. So this is so important, today. And I want you just to contextualize something, Manuel, about the great work that you have been doing for Latino community. Can you start sharing something about it and how it started?
My work with the Latino community is, I would say now it's been for more than 25 years.
Awesome.
I started as a community organizer in Chicago, working in the Puerto Rican community in a place called, community called Humboldt Park in Chicago, and with Little Village, which is the Mexican side. Chicago has Mexican and Puerto Ricans, and they all live together, separately, but together. So I worked as a community organizer, training local Latinos to advocate for their, to improve their communities, in very simple things like getting a play lot or improving housing, fighting for better roads, in police protection, those kinds of things. Excuse me.
Yes.
Since from there, I became a trainer of organizers nationally, for an organization called the National People's Action.
Okay.
And then I gradually moved to an organization which is the largest, excuse me, the largest Latino organization, the education organization in the East Coast, which is called Aspira.
Okay.
Aspira was started by Antonia Pantoja, a Puerto Rican woman who came to New York, realized that Latinos were severely undereducated, with problems in getting a decent education in the public schools, and she started the program called Aspira.
Yes.
And Aspira is symbolized by a little bird from the island of Puerto Rico. And the little bird, when it flies up, the beak goes back. So it goes like this, up like this, and looks back. And that symbolizes the idea that as we educate Latinos to become leaders, to become advocates of their community, as they seek to get better education and to succeed, they always have to come back and look back at their community and bring their community with them forward.
Awesome.
So that's the idea of Aspira. I'm an aspirante myself. They helped me get into college. They helped me fill out my applications. So I work for them, leading their leadership program. Every high school had an Aspira club, and that club sent their students for me to train into higher leadership skills. I became the first Hispanic, the chief of staff of the first Latino ever elected to the Illinois Senate.
Okay.
And he was the first one there. So when we went to the Illinois Senate, there were no bills related to access and retention for Latinos in higher education. So we had to start from scratch and build a 4-year strategy to start implementing policies and projects that would increase Latino representation in colleges and universities. So to give you a short story, I since then became the vice president for the Mexican American Legal Defense and Education Fund, which is our voice for legal rights in the for civil rights in the United States.
Yes.
My boss, Antonia Hernandez, was the person who spoke on behalf of the Latinos in the United States before the U.S. Congress on issues like bilingual education, job employment, discrimination, etc. A very important person to work with, and that I had a pleasure to work with. I also worked for the Sacramento City Unified School District as a leader there, and more recently, I worked as the executive director for the Hispanic Association for Colleges and Universities, where we represent over 600 colleges and universities in the U.S., 40 in Latin America, and 40 in Spain. And the idea is to promote and to work to increase Latino graduation and success at colleges and universities. So at the moment, I am the executive director of United Latinos here in Sacramento. And our main mission is to increase the civic capacity of our Latino community so they can have an important voice when it comes to environmental justice, housing, and other needs that are important to the Latino community.
Wow, this is an outstanding work. Congratulations, it's very inspiring, listening, to all these stories, and all this great work that you have been doing for so long. And what drives you, and who inspired you, to become the leader you are today and to do this amazing work?
Well, I forgot to mention that I'm also worked with the World Academy for the Future of Women, which you're familiar with because you are a critical leader in that effort as well. And but what inspired me, I have to go back to many years ago. When I first came to the United States, I was 12 years old. We came because of the civil crisis in Guatemala. After 30 years of there was 30 years of civil war in Guatemala. So my family left Guatemala in a Greyhound bus. We went to Mexico, and then we crossed the border, and we took a Greyhound bus to Chicago, which is always known as an industrial hub, a great place for immigrants to find work. My father worked for Motorola Company, making radios and television sets. So when I went to college, so one of the things that I did in high school was I went to a high school that wasn't very high in academics. So one of the things that I did enjoy there was taking French language, and that made me available to, or gave me the skills to be able to take on a position. It was an internship position at first with the World Academy. It was called the Institute for Cultural Affairs, I'm sorry. And so I went to Paris, which is what I wanted to do because of my French. And I ended up staying there for about 4 and 5 years. And eventually, after translating, they trained me, and they made me one of their global development consultants. And they sent me to India, where I worked in a small village, underdeveloped village in Maliwara in the state of Maharashtra. And one day, I went to the back part of the village, which is a poor village, but I went to a back side of that village, and I came face to face with children that were severely malnourished. Many of them had maybe a few months to live. They were with a big belly because of the worms. It's just a sign of severe malnutrition. They looked in their eyes as if they were in the moon. It looked surreal. Their eyes were dazed. it had such a profound impact in me, and it still does. Just the memory of it. It's still very hardening for me to even think about it. But I had seen poverty before. I seen it in pictures and books, but coming face to face with children that are starving and dying before your very eyes was staggering. It was, for me, an epiphany, and it turned into anger. I realized, what kind of a world do we live in where children, in a world of wealth, children are allowed to die in starvation?
Yes.
It's just mind-boggling. I think that at that moment is when I turned into a leader, or at least I realized the significance of the word agency. I don't know if you're familiar with the word agency, but it's a very important word. I'm sure you are. But for me, agency is when you move from passivity, from just observing, into taking action to resolve a problem. So for me, it's the difference between being an author of a book and being in someone else's story as a minor character.
Yes.
So for me, agency is deciding that I'm going to write my own book, and I'm going to be the main character of that book and write my own story. So not only for myself, but for my community.
Yes.
So that's a kind of a long-winded response, but that's why where I can go back to and realize that was the turning point where I decided that I needed to be part of the solution in the world, rather than just someone that was enjoying life and watching the world.
Yes. Wow. That's so deep and so inspiring. Thank you for sharing, that very profound story, and wow, I didn't know about it. And yeah, and that speaks a lot, from you, because I know you, and I know how serving people, is important, for you, and that's something that we have in common, and how important it is to serve people, and that's the importance of leadership. And yeah, wow, you have been telling so much things, about how to really be an agent, of change, and to really be part of the solution, because there are so many people, today that they just talk and talk, but they don't convert, those words into action. So that's very inspiring, listening, from your personal story, and how it started, in your life, and how to start to really make a difference in the world, and yeah, that's awesome. Why it's so crucial, to empower, Latinos for global leadership and impact? With all this experience and this journey that started, with you traveling to first studying, through education, how education opened, for possibilities and opportunities, in your life, to discover, all these that you have been sharing. And then you went to France, and then you went to India, and you realized, I think, how important it is to develop, this sense of global mindset, So why is so crucial, to help the Latino community, to develop this kind of global mindset, and to develop these leadership skills, to succeed in life? So what you can share, about this?
Sure. Well, after my experience in Europe and in India, after that particular incident, I came back to Chicago, where I grew up. And the first thing that I did was to see how I can take those skills that I had in community development and use them in the Latino community in Chicago. And so I got trained in what is called the Alinsky method. I don't know if you know about Saul Alinsky, but Saul Alinsky wrote several books, the Rebel. But anyway, he's a professor at the University of Chicago that developed
Yes.
method for communities to organize themselves and to gain power to be able to change important things, policy changes in their communities. So community organizing stems on the principle that, the residents of the people of a community have the agency, the power to change their future for their communities. And the community organizers are not there to develop power for themselves, but to help the community become empowered, to become leaders of their own, and to develop their own agenda.
Yeah.
And know how to build power so that the power makers can listen to them and negotiate to create change. So that's one of the things that came as a result of my experience that I started to put into action. I wanted to have Latinos empowered to be able to make changes for their community.
Yeah. Why is so important, and crucial, to help the Latino community,
Oh, yes.
to to be ready, with this global mindset, and to make a difference.
Yeah, I'm glad. I'm sorry. Thank you for refreshing me on
But
that.
yeah, but
Yes.
I know, it's very powerful. The question that you're just sharing. Why Latin America, and I think it's related to.
Mhm.
Latin
Yes,
America
it is.
it's underdeveloped. So we can keep, because I think that we are diving, in the core, of the message about how important is education, to lead and to make a difference, in the Latino community. So what you can say about it? And
Yeah. So actually, thank you for refreshing me on the question. So yes, so I came out of my education with an understanding of how our communities are impacted by our global standing through these studies, right? So for example, in Latin America, in the United States, when I was in high school, I was ashamed to say I was Latin American because everywhere in my community and everywhere else, being from Mexico, from Guatemala was like, looked down upon, right? When I went to grammar school the first time in the United States, and I was in a classroom, teacher said, I'm going to show you a little film about Guatemala and how people in Guatemala live. And we have a student here from Guatemala. His name is Manuel. So everybody's like looking at me, and they said, okay, well, so she starts the film, and it showed these dirt villages in like the Petén on Guatemala, or like really the most backward area of Guatemala, right? A lot of poverty, dirt floors, people living in dirt, shaggy, settings. And then she ended the video and says, well, that's how people in Guatemala live. So the kid says, oh, wow. So was that when you came to the United States, they asked me, was this the first time you ever saw a car? Is this the first time you ever saw a microwave oven?
Yes. You know what? That happened to me, once when I went to UK. I went there, to perform a stay there, in order to improve my English. And many people, start asking me some kind of questions, like how is Mexico? How people live there? Are they, riding horses? It's
Right.
like, oh my God,
Yes. So for me, I took like what happens to many Latinos, which is like, oh, well, maybe I don't want people to know I'm from Guatemala, right? I was the kid. But, it was after I especially before I graduated, it took me until I graduated from high school to realize that I had to embrace my Latino-ness. There was something to be proud of in being a Latino.
Yes.
So to answer your question, I felt that in the Latino community, we were judged by where we came from in the United States.
Yes.
So I realized that there is no separation between who we are as Latinos in the United States and where we come from. If Latin America is underdeveloped, politically in the United States, we're going to be perceived as being people who come from an underdeveloped country, that we are underdeveloped too, right?
Okay. Yes.
So for me, it's always been important to understand that as Latinos,
yes.
we need to advocate for the development of Latin America, because
Yes.
that's a very critical nature of our identity as American Latinos.
Yes.
And so for me, it was important that we begin to have a voice in foreign affairs, which we've never had, to be active in global business, in global decision making.
Yes.
And when I first raised this global perspective idea, people would say, oh, Latinos are not there yet. The majority of Latinos are still in need of developing basic skills like writing, mathematics. Yes. And so don't bring this global stuff, because that's just absurd. That's just beyond what Latinos can handle right now. Well, 20 years ago, when I was talking about this, I somewhat agreed with some of that. I realized that the priorities was, remedial English, remedial math, et cetera, et cetera. But if you go to a college campus today, you go to UC Davis or you go to UC San Diego, you'll see an army of highly educated Latino youth.
Yes.
They're not like the kids like me, that were in college. Yes. We were just struggling and taking remedial classes and trying to survive. These are kids that are high performing students in STEM and in other fields.
Yes.
And so I'm like, hey, we're ready.
Yes.
We're ready to give them a global perspective, because that is not what they're getting.
Yes.
And our Latino organizations like MALDAF or HACU or any of our Latino leaders are not advocating for them to have a global perspective.
Yes.
No one is talking about it. And this is why I started founded the organization called the Hispanic Association for Global Education.
Yes.
Which you are the chair of that, the president
yes.
of that.
Yes.
And the mission of HAGE is to educate Latinos and provide them with a global perspective and expose them to Latin American, North American culture and perspectives. That's critical. That's very important. And I can mention why that's important. But, I don't know if I'm taking too much time just on this question. But if you like, I can elaborate more on that.
Yes. You know what? It came to me, another question, now that you're talking about this. It's about how to change the narrative,
Mm-hmm.
about, everything that you are saying, about the Latino community, being underdeveloped. How to change that narrative,
Yes.
And take
on ourselves too, among Latinos.
Yes.
Right. Well, Latinos in California are, I think, one of the questions that we have to ask ourselves is, what's the future of our community, right?
I love that question. Yes.
Right. And so when we look at just demographically, California is, first of all, let me begin by saying it's nice to look at things by decade, right? Every 10 years, where are we going to be in 10 years? Or
yes.
I think that's, although that's important, I think the critical milestone for me has to be the year 2050. Okay. And I can say why that's the case. 2050 is the markation that is being utilized by, for example, the Paris Climate Agreement.
Yes.
It's being used by the UN Sustainable Development Goals.
Okay.
It's being used by futurists,
Yes.
policymakers. The
Yes.
year 2050 is a critical year because it is when our technological innovations are going to be fully matured, right? So AI is going to be fully matured by 2050.
Yes.
Our population growth is going to be about 10 billion people. Our global climate issues are going to either be completely resolved or completely undermining our planet's ability to survive. Nuclear proliferation, it's either resolved politically or we're going to be exploding each other to pieces. 2050 is really the year or the decade in which we are either going to survive as humanity or whether we are going to be destroyed. So one of the areas that are critical is in AI. It's going to play a key role in this. Now, the interesting thing about artificial intelligence is that for over 1 million years, the only intelligence in this planet was us, right? The human being,
Yeah.
Homo sapiens.
Natural intelligence.
Right. And then, of course, other intelligences were our animal kingdom and then the insects, right? A bee is highly intelligent for its own, right?
Yes.
They all have intelligence. In other words, it's what I call biological intelligence. The inanimate world, like rocks, dirt, mountains, wood, that's inanimate. That's never been intelligent.
Yes.
It's been kind of like, it never has had a voice. Well, AI has given the inanimate world a voice. So everything surrounding us, our refrigerator, or cell phones, or cars, or cities, or buses, everything is going to be powered by artificial intelligence.
Yes.
And by 2050, this pen will be more intelligent than you and me. Yes, we can ask this pen anything about our human history. We can ask this pen anything we want it, and it will know, and it will answer. So the inanimate world now is becoming our intelligence, no longer the humans. So what is the role of humans vis-a-vis all these robots and all this intelligence that is going to be walking around, surrounding us? That we are going to be always their student, because we're all going to be asking our robots, how do you do this? What is the meaning of this? What happened in the year this? We're all going to be asking questions like stupid students, because they're going to know a lot more than we. And I can't tell you how profoundly by 2050, IA is going to determine how it is that we can transport ourselves to the further distance of the galaxies, because it's going to have that capacity to figure it out.
Yeah.
All right. So having said that, what is our role? Well, our role is only one, and that is that we have to educate AI to have ethics and to have humanity. And this is the only thing that AI cannot take away from us. This is the only one thing that we can teach AI, is how to be human.
Yes.
And how to have ethics.
And that's where it becomes more relevant.
Mm-hmm.
Our human skills, our ethics,
Right.
our leadership skills,
Right.
social skills, something that it cannot be replaced
Right.
by any technology. So, yes.
So if you look around the world today, what is the one thing that we are having problems with? It's ethics.
Yes.
From our leaders. It's ethical behavior. It's our lack of humanity.
Yes.
So we've achieved all this technology and all this stuff. So the key is going to be, are we going to be able to turn that around by 2050? Because if we don't, AI is going to be highly destructive. It's going to be used to enslave us and to exploit us. So as we see these thousands of Latinos becoming like, for example, in the United States, Latinos are going to be 30% of the population.
Yes. Wow.
In
That's
California, it's going to be over 50%, the majority, over the majority of the population. Or colleges are going to depend, to survive, they're going to depend on Latinos getting educated. And we are entering a world in which is extremely complicated, not just with AI, but robotics, but all of these other technologies, biotech, etc. Our students are going to become adaptable at learning STEM,
yes,
and they're going to have to play a key leadership role in that. But what's more important for us is to make sure that our Latino youth embrace our culture
yes,
that contains our humanistic ethics. One thing about the Latin culture, as you notice if you travel around the world, is that we have a heart. We have family. It's a strong value. We have a lot to share, in other words, in making this a better world. We need to have that voice. Latinos also need to realize that we cannot survive without bringing this whole hemisphere more equitably together. As the United States begins to lose its superpower potential, there's going to be a lot of disturbances. It tries to compete with China and other major powers. And Latin America needs to play a key role with North America in assuring that we create a hemisphere that's strong and that we protect our interests. And who is better to do that than bilingual students that have and understand and care for the culture of Latin America? So, that's my answer to you. I think it's critical that we educate Latinos not only in STEM, but to teach them to embrace our culture and to fully understand the importance of their homes of origin.
yes.
But that we also make sure that they understand the critical importance of leading in ethics and in humanity.
I love that, because I think it's so important. It's essential, to foster, the future minds, the next generation leaders, Latino leaders. So with all this, considering, all these features and characteristics, that you are talking about, because we have to really invest in the next generation leaders. We need to equip them to really inspire them, to not just to do the change or make the change, but to be the change in the world.
Right.
There is a quote from Malala that I love this quote, and it is greeting, in one of the walls inside of the UN building headquarters in New York. And it says that, give me a pen, give me a book, give me a t-shirt, and I can change the world. So what do you think about this quote? It's about the power of education, that we can really give and provide a transformative experience to our Latino community. So what do you think, about the power of education, that actually with your experience and in your journey, it played a key role, in order to foster your leadership. But what do you think about it?
Well, I think I mentioned, I mentioned my experience as a community organizer. And as a community organizer, in a sense, is an educator.
Yes.
We're educating Latino, or we're educating people to become leaders, to figure out how to build the power that they need to have a voice, right? But more importantly, we're not there to build power for ourselves.
Yes.
We're not there to indoctrinate them.
Yes.
We're not there to tell them what they should do or what is the best strategy. No, we're there to bring out their own desire for a better future.
Yes.
And help them articulate what they themselves want to articulate about that future. And as a servant leader, which is what Robert Greenleaf wrote the book on servant leadership. It's a very important book. When I went to my doctoral program, in the doctoral program, you're basically learning two main things:
Yeah.
how to discover new knowledge.
Yeah.
In my master's program is how do you figure out how do you synthesize knowledge?
Yes.
And in the doctoral program is how do you create your own knowledge? Okay, so the research skills. But the other more important thing that you're taught in a doctoral program is how to be a leader. So many of the courses that I took were on transformational leadership, and it was in, all kinds of leadership theories, right? There are like 6 or 9 main schools of
Yes.
leadership. But none of them were sufficient for me. I think that the one that was really spoke to me was Robert Greenleaf's servant leadership, because servant leadership is ethical leadership.
Yes.
And it's a leadership that is not about building the leader's power, but building the power of the people that you serve.
Yes.
Right? So, and you do that through educating them, et cetera, et cetera. So for me, as an educator, I do not see myself as transferring knowledge
Yes.
to someone, especially now in the age of computer, in the age of Google and all this other stuff.
Yes.
That is no longer an important function for a teacher, is to transfer knowledge, because students can get that knowledge in their cell phone.
Yes.
The cell phone has access to all of the world's libraries. So our role is not to instill knowledge, but our role is to draw inherent knowledge that's already inside that student the day they walk into the classroom.
Yes.
And draw that out. A lot of the students don't realize the incredible power and wisdom and potential that they have.
Yes.
And as educators, that is true education. Education is not facts and knowledge of facts and processes and models. True education is helping someone truly understand the meaning of their humanity and
Yeah.
what it means for them to do what they do.
Yes.
So it's like a flower. We're there to water the flower, not to
Yes.
create the flower, not to say, oh, you're a yellow flower, you're going to be a yellow flower. No, actually, I want you to be red or pink because that's going to make you more successful. No, you're a yellow flower. My job is not to change you. My
Yes.
job is to make sure that you get the sun, the elements that you need to grow into a beautiful flower, as you
Yeah.
were meant to be, because you're already meant to be something in life.
Yes.
I don't know what it is. Maybe you're meant to be an artist. Maybe you're meant to be someone who will relieve people's pain as a doctor or as a therapist. Maybe you are a great teacher in you. I don't know what you are. You know what you are. You may not know it today. And me as an educator is going to be there to help facilitate you figure that out.
Yeah.
So that's my idea. My idea is that as an educator, we want to bring that knowledge out. And that means listening. That means asking intriguing questions that will change the student's perspective.
Yes.
It will help them think more critically. They will make them feel that they are empowered to know and to have agency. And to me, that's the most important thing about being an educator.
That's awesome. And talking about that, what would you say to the young Latino people listening today? Maybe first generation, maybe doubting, their voice. What's your message to them?
Well, it's what I just said. I think the message for youth is, follow your dreams. Know that you can achieve them.
Yes.
Use education to get there.
Yes.
Those three things. And more importantly, we need you. We need you to be part of the solution. We need you to engage in the world, not just in your local community, not just to try to solve your own financial and home situation, but we need you to master that so that you can be freed up and solve some of the world's hunger needs, some of the world's problems that we face. So we really do need the Latinos to be involved with it. I also want to caution Latinos because I met a lot of Latinos who had thought to become involved in politics.
Yes.
And to work for companies or corporations. And we are taught it's like to basically do what people want us to do.
Yeah.
So sometimes when we run into politics, we become part of the problem because we think that politics is being an asshole. Right? Politics is once you have power, then you tell other people what to do, and you get to do this and in la movida, and this.
Yes.
So we become we adapt a culture or a model of politics that is just completely wrong for our community. That is not politics. And the same thing with corporations. We want to do good. We want to good with employees, but we don't question the ethics of that corporation or what they're asking us to do. I met a lot of Latinos that work in implementing policies that are destroying our communities, our environment. So as far as I'm concerned, if you want if you're going to have children, as a youth, if you're going to get married, if you're going to have children, think about what kind of world your children are going to live in. Are they going to have a world? And if they are, is it going to be so polluted that life is not worth it? That they're going to struggle because there won't be enough food? There'll be too many contaminants, too many health hazards? Are we going to live in a world where machines are telling us and controlling us as opposed to helping us? That is going to be completely up to you and your peers.
Yes. if there is a final message that you would like to give, to our audience, conformed by educators, professionals, young students, that they are thriving right now in education. And I don't know, something that you would like to add.
Sure.
You were mentioning something very important, before you were talking about when you were studying, in school, and how these questions, about how and why Latin America was underdeveloped. And that's kind of powerful, because when students come to the university or college, most of the time they are not thinking about these subjects, and these issues, in the world, and how to be a difference in the world, how to provide solutions, or where they are there, in the university. They are most just go there to school, learn some skills, and go to work, and that's okay. But they are not being very intentional, about very profound questions. So what do you love to tell them, to be really intentional about that, when they are in school and university or colleges?
Well, I think that there's what I tell everyone as a final thought is that live a balanced life. There are serious issues that are facing, and I don't want to discourage people. I want people to know that even though we're facing some very serious challenges today and in the coming decades, we're in a period of transition. If you think about historically, every historical period happens within a certain historical context. And this one is about an era of transition into a new era. And we have everything to do in making it different. So I think that as Latinos, we have a potential for a great future. We are facing serious issues, but we also have to be living today. We also have to be mindful of our moment. And so we have to take time out to make sure that we are building good and healthy and joyful lives, that we are developing friends, and we are developing good families, that we are securing, that we get the rest that we need.
Yes.
That we take the entertainment that we need, so that because we're always going to need to refresh ourselves so that we can continue to move forward. So that's what I would say. I would say, work hard, but also enjoy life, because this is the only life you have.
Yes. Yes. Thank you very much, Dr. Manuel Guillot. Thank you for sharing with us today about this important topic. Thank you, for your time. Thank you for your generosity, to be here to share, about your purpose, your vision, for Latino community, how to empower them, through education, and with this sense of global mindset, how important it is to do that, and to really believe in them, and to invest in the next generation leaders. Thank you very much to all our listeners. To educate.
Let me just end with a little.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, not to interrupt. Let me just finish with a little plug, and that is that if you want to know more about what is a global perspective, if you want to be educated more on how to develop global leadership skills, and all these things about that we've been talking about, we are going to have that in our website soon. We'll let you know. That is for the Hispanic Association for Global Education, HAGE. And Marcos is, like I said, the president of the board of directors, and I will be playing the role of executive director of HAGE. So please remember HAGE, and then we will tell you when we're ready to open up our website for that.
Yes, we're going to share, all the details, with all the community. Yeah, thank you very much for pointing it out. And yeah, to all our listeners, educate yourself, empower others, and lead with boldness, porque el futuro es nuestro. And to all our Latino community. So thank you very much, and We wait for you in our next episode of Coronado Leadership. Thank you very much, Manuel.
Gracias. Hasta luego a todos.